There's something most people don't like to admit out loud. Attraction doesn't always respect timing, labels, or circumstances. A woman can be in a relationship and still feel drawn to someone else. Not because she's a bad person, not because she planned it, but because emotional connection, curiosity, and chemistry don't switch off just because a status exists. And this is where things get complicated. When a woman is interested in you but committed elsewhere, she will not act the way single women do. She won't be obvious. She won't confess. She won't risk her stability for uncertainty. Instead, the attraction leaks out in subtle, controlled, sometimes contradictory ways. Warm one moment, careful the next, engaged but restrained, present but guarded. Most men misread this completely. Some assume friendliness equals interest. Others ignore real signals because the situation feels off limits. And many end up confused, wondering why the energy feels different even though nothing happened. Stoicism offers a grounded lens here. The Stoic man does not chase forbidden situations or inflate fantasy. He observes reality clearly without projecting desire onto it. He recognizes signals, but he also respects boundaries, both hers and his own, because the goal is not to win someone who belongs to someone else. The goal is understanding human behavior so you don't live in confusion. In this video, we're breaking down 10 subtle signs a woman may be emotionally drawn to you, even if she's already with someone. Signals that show internal conflict rather than open availability. These signs are not invitations to interfere. They are indicators of tension between attraction and loyalty. And that tension shows up in behavior long before words. Once you understand these patterns, you stop guessing, you stop romanticizing neutrality, and you stop ignoring obvious chemistry disguised as politeness because attraction doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Before we start, a quick reminder. The real transformation doesn't happen on YouTube. It happens inside the community. If these videos have opened your eyes, what's inside will rebuild your mindset completely. It's not just a course, it's a brotherhood. A private space where men master attraction, emotional control, and the psychology of power. You don't join for a month, you join for life. Every future course, book, and lesson is yours forever. No subscriptions, no limits. Just one decision that changes your direction. If you're serious about growth, discipline, and purpose, click the link below. Join the community. Enroll once, grow forever. Let's dive in. Sign number 1. She gives you a different kind of attention than other men. One of the clearest early indicators of hidden attraction is selective attention. Not loud flirting, not obvious pursuit, but a subtle shift in how present she becomes around you compared to everyone else. She listens more closely. She remembers details you mentioned once. She reacts to your jokes even when others don't. Her body subtly orients toward you in group settings. None of these behaviors scream attraction individually, but together they create a pattern of focus that feels personal. Here's why this matters psychologically. Attention is limited. Humans instinctively allocate it where emotional interest exists. If she treats you differently, more engaged, more curious, more responsive, it suggests that interacting with you carries emotional weight. This doesn't necessarily mean she intends to act on it. In fact, when she's in a relationship, the difference is often quieter because she's managing boundaries internally. Most men misread this in two ways. Some assume it's just friendliness. Others assume it means she wants something to happen immediately. Both interpretations miss the nuance. Friendly attention feels warm but neutral. Interested attention feels focused and specific. Stoic man notices the difference without exaggerating it. He doesn't assume ownership of her feelings. He simply recognizes when his presence affects someone's behavior. Another key detail is consistency across contexts. If she is attentive only in group settings, but distant one-on-one, she may be protecting appearances. If the attention continues privately, the signal is stronger. Psychologically, this behavior reflects internal prioritization. Her brain categorizes you as relevant, which makes her more alert to your words, reactions, and mood. You may also notice micro-behaviors. She looks for your reaction after saying something, adjusts her tone when addressing you, or checks whether you noticed her arrival. These actions are rarely conscious. They happen because the nervous system becomes attuned to people who matter emotionally. But here is the Stoic caution. Attention is not commitment. A woman can feel drawn and still choose loyalty to her partner. Recognizing attraction does not mean acting on it. The grounded response is calm awareness, not escalation. Because attraction in constrained situations often exists as tension, not intention. And tension can linger for a long time without resolution. Sign number 2, she finds reasons to be near you without making it obvious. When a woman is secretly drawn to someone she shouldn't be drawn to, proximity becomes her safest outlet. She won't openly seek one-on-one time in a way that looks suspicious or intentional. Instead, she creates situations where being around you feels natural, explainable, even accidental. She chooses the seat near yours in a group. She joins conversations you're part of. She lingers when you're about to leave. She shows up to events she knows you'll attend. None of these actions cross clear boundaries, but taken together, they form a pattern of physical closeness. Psychologically, proximity is one of the strongest predictors of attachment. Humans bond with what they encounter repeatedly. If she feels an internal pull but wants to maintain control, she allows proximity while avoiding intimacy. This creates a strange dynamic. She's present but not pursuing. Most men misinterpret this as coincidence or simple sociability. But consistent proximity without a clear external reason often signals internal motivation. People naturally distribute their time toward what feels rewarding even when they don't consciously admit it. Another important detail is comfort level. If she remains relaxed around you instead of guarded, it suggests she enjoys the closeness rather than tolerating it. However, you may also notice micro adjustments that reveal awareness of boundaries. She might step back slightly if things feel too personal. She might bring others into the interaction to keep it safe. She may avoid moments that could look like exclusivity. This push-pull behavior is not manipulation, it's internal conflict. On one side, attraction pulls her closer. On the other, loyalty or caution keeps her restrained. A stoic man recognizes this tension without exploiting it. He doesn't corner her into private situations or interpret proximity as permission. He allows space for her to regulate her own boundaries because real attraction doesn't need pressure to exist. If it's there, it reveals itself through repeated patterns. Another psychological factor at play is comfort seeking. If interacting with you feels lighter, calmer, or more stimulating than her usual environment, she may gravitate toward you simply to experience that state again. In other words, she's not just seeking you, she's seeking how she feels around you, but proximity alone doesn't equal intent. A woman can enjoy closeness without wanting to change her situation. That distinction matters. The stoic response is grounded neutrality. You neither chase the closeness nor reject it dramatically. You remain present, respectful, and self-directed. Because attraction that exists within boundaries tends to be fragile. If pushed, it often collapses into distance or defensiveness. But when allowed to exist without pressure, it reveals more over time. Sign number 3, her energy shifts when you enter or leave. This signal is powerful because it's almost impossible to fake consistently. Words can be controlled, actions can be measured, but energy, tone, posture, facial expression, emotional presence often changes automatically around someone who matters. You may notice that when you enter a room, she becomes more alert. Her posture straightens, her voice shifts slightly. Her mood lifts, or sometimes becomes more restrained. And when you leave, the opposite happens. She may go quieter, less engaged, or subtly watch you go before returning to what she was doing. Psychologically, this reflects heightened awareness. Your presence activates her attention system, even if she doesn't consciously intend it. Humans track people they are emotionally invested in. The brain prioritizes monitoring those individuals because they represent opportunity, risk, or reward. Attraction falls into that category. Most men miss this because they focus on direct interaction instead of environmental response. They look for flirting or compliments, not atmosphere changes. But atmosphere is often the earliest indicator. Another key detail is contrast. If her energy shift is noticeable compared to how she interacts with others, it suggests that you occupy a different emotional category in her mind. Sometimes the shift is warm. She becomes more animated, talkative, playful. Other times it's restrained. She becomes quieter, more careful, even slightly nervous. Both can signal awareness. Nervous energy does not necessarily mean discomfort. It can indicate heightened self-consciousness, which often accompanies attraction, especially when boundaries exist. You may also notice micro behaviors. She adjusts her hair or clothing, checks her posture, glances in your direction repeatedly, or becomes unusually attentive to conversations involving you. These behaviors happen because the nervous system is preparing for interaction. It's not strategic, it's physiological. However, a stoic man does not assume ownership of these signals. He doesn't interpret them as invitations or guarantees. He observes them as information, nothing more. Another layer is exit behavior. If she subtly tracks when you leave, watching, pausing conversation, or looking distracted afterward, it suggests that your presence held value beyond casual interaction. But again, attraction does not equal intention. A woman can feel drawn while remaining committed to her current situation. The grounded response is calm acknowledgement, not escalation, because emotional awareness without pressure keeps interactions respectful and real. And often the strongest signals are not what someone says to you, but how their entire energy field responds when you're simply there. Sign number 4, she asks personal questions that go beyond politeness. When a woman is secretly drawn to you but constrained by circumstances, direct flirting feels risky. Instead, she channels interest into curiosity about your inner world. Not surface questions like, "What do you do?" but questions that explore who you are, what made you choose that path. Do you enjoy being alone or around people? What motivates you? Are you always this calm? What do you usually do on weekends? These questions aren't random. They are attempts to understand you as a person, not just interact with you socially. Psychologically, curiosity is the cognitive side of attraction. Before emotional attachment grows, the brain seeks information. It tries to map the person, their values, habits, experiences, personality. Most men miss the depth here because the questions don't sound romantic. They sound conversational. But emotional interest often hides inside normal dialogue when direct expression isn't possible. Another key detail is follow-up. If she remembers your answers and revisits them later, the signal becomes stronger. Memory indicates importance. People store information about those who matter. You may notice she connects details across conversations, referencing something you mentioned weeks ago, asking how a situation turned out, or relating new topics back to your life. This shows sustained mental engagement. However, she may also avoid reciprocating at the same depth. She shares selectively, maintaining boundaries. This asymmetry often reflects internal caution. She wants to know you without revealing too much of herself. A stoic man respects that balance. He answers honestly without oversharing, and he doesn't interrogate her in return. He allows emotional pacing to remain natural. Another psychological factor is imagined compatibility. By learning about you, she is unconsciously testing whether your world aligns with hers. Values, lifestyle, temperament. Attraction often grows through perceived similarity or complementary differences. But again, curiosity does not equal intent to act. A woman can be deeply interested in understanding someone while choosing not to disrupt her current relationship. The Stoic approach is observation without assumption because projecting fantasy onto curiosity can create awkwardness or pressure. Calm engagement keeps the interaction comfortable and genuine, and comfort is essential in situations where attraction exists alongside restraint. At the deepest level, personal questions reveal that you are not just part of her environment, you are becoming part of her mental landscape. She is thinking about who you are, not just how to interact with you, and people rarely invest that level of attention without emotional motivation. Sign number 5, she remembers small details about you that others forget. Attention becomes memory when emotion is involved. If a woman is secretly drawn to you, even within boundaries, she will store details that most people overlook. Things you mentioned casually, preferences you never emphasized, stories you told once and forgot. She remembers your favorite coffee, a hobby you briefly mentioned, an upcoming event in your life, something personal you shared weeks ago, then unexpectedly she brings it up. How did that meeting go? Did you ever fix that issue you mentioned? I saw something that reminded me of what you said. On the surface, this looks like kindness or attentiveness. But psychologically, memory is selective. The brain prioritizes information linked to emotional significance. People don't remember details about those they feel neutral toward. They remember what matters to them. This kind of recall shows that you occupy mental space even when you're not physically present. Most men underestimate this signal because it feels subtle and non-romantic, but in reality, it often reflects deeper engagement than overt flirting. Flirting can be playful and situational. Remembering details requires ongoing cognitive attention. Another important nuance is spontaneity. If she recalls something without being prompted, especially after time has passed, it indicates that the memory resurfaced naturally. You were in her thoughts. However, she may frame it casually to avoid revealing emotional investment. The tone might stay light, even dismissive, as if it's no big deal. This protects her from appearing too interested. A stoic man doesn't spotlight the gesture or make it heavy. He acknowledges it naturally and moves forward. Drawing attention to it can create self-consciousness and disrupt the comfortable balance. There is also an empathy component. Remembering details often reflects emotional attunement. She is paying attention not just to what you say, but to what matters to you. In constrained situations, this becomes a safe form of care. It shows interest without crossing obvious boundaries. But once again, attraction does not equal intention. A woman can value someone deeply while remaining committed to her current partner. Human emotions are not always aligned with decisions. The grounded response is appreciation without assumption, because the goal is understanding, not escalation. At a deeper level, this behavior reveals that your presence left an imprint. You were not just another conversation. You were an experience her mind chose to retain. And retention is the foundation of emotional connection. People may forget faces. They rarely forget those whose words stayed with them. Sign number 6. She acts warm, then suddenly distant. This push-pull dynamic is one of the most confusing experiences for men, yet one of the clearest indicators that something emotional is happening beneath the surface. One moment she's engaged, open, smiling, playful, fully present. The next moment she becomes reserved, formal, harder to read, even slightly avoidant. Nothing obvious happened, no argument, no awkward comment. The shift seems to come from nowhere, but psychologically, it doesn't come from nowhere. When a woman feels drawn to someone while being committed elsewhere, warmth triggers awareness. That awareness activates caution. She may suddenly remember her boundaries, her partner, social implications, or her own values and instinctively pull back to restore emotional distance. It's not calculated, it's regulation. Attraction pulls her forward, responsibility pulls her back. Most men misinterpret this shift as loss of interest or moodiness. They either chase harder to restore warmth or withdraw completely out of confusion. Both reactions miss the underlying tension. If she were truly indifferent, her behavior would be consistently neutral. Indifference does not fluctuate dramatically. Fluctuation signals internal processing. Another detail to watch is timing. Distance often appears after moments of closeness, a deep conversation, laughter, shared vulnerability, prolonged eye contact. The stronger the connection felt, the stronger the correction afterward. She may become quieter, avoid eye contact, focus on tasks, or limit interaction for a while. This is not rejection in the typical sense. It's an attempt to regain emotional equilibrium. A stoic man remains steady. He doesn't punish the distance or cling to the warmth. He treats both states with the same calm respect. Why does this matter? Because pressure intensifies conflict. If she already feels tension between attraction and loyalty, pushing for clarity forces her to choose defensiveness over honesty. Calm neutrality allows her to regulate without associating you with discomfort. Another layer is self-P protection. She may worry about sending the wrong signal or creating a situation she can't manage. Distance becomes a safety mechanism, but safety mechanisms do not erase attraction. They contain it. Over time, this pattern can repeat. Closeness, awareness, withdrawal, stabilization, renewed closeness. It's not a game. It's emotional oscillation. From the outside, it feels inconsistent. From the inside, it feels like control. The Stoic perspective is simple. Observe patterns, not isolated moments. One warm interaction means little. One distant moment means little. Repeated cycles reveal something deeper. And often the strongest proof of hidden attraction is not constant warmth, but the effort to suppress it. Sign number 7, she teases you in a way she doesn't with others. Playful teasing is one of the safest ways to express attraction when direct expression feels inappropriate. It creates interaction, tension, and emotional connection without openly crossing boundaries. She might lightly challenge you, make sarcastic remarks with a smile, mock you in a friendly way, call out your habits or quirks playfully. Wow, you're always late, aren't you? Oh, look who finally showed up. You think you're special, huh? To outsiders, it sounds like banter, but the tone reveals everything. Teasing requires comfort. You don't tease people you feel neutral toward because it risks awkwardness. It implies a level of familiarity and emotional safety. Psychologically, teasing creates a micro push-pull dynamic, closeness combined with distance. This dynamic stimulates attention and engagement. It's a subtle way to create chemistry without overt vulnerability. Most men either take teasing literally or dismiss it as nothing, but when it's directed specifically at you, especially more than at others, it suggests selective emotional investment. Another key detail is responsiveness. If she watches closely to see how you react, smiling when you play along, relaxing when you don't take offense, she is calibrating interaction. She wants the tension without the conflict. In constrained situations, teasing becomes a controlled outlet. It allows her to interact in a way that feels lively and personal without appearing romantic. However, teasing can also serve as a test of emotional stability. She is observing whether you become defensive, insecure, or reactive. Calm confidence makes the interaction feel safe and attractive. Overreaction makes it uncomfortable. A stoic man responds with light humor or relaxed acknowledgement. He doesn't escalate, doesn't try to dominate the exchange, and doesn't shut it down coldly. He keeps the tone playful while remaining grounded. Another nuance is exclusivity. If she teases you far more than other men or only teases you, it indicates that you occupy a different emotional category in her mind. But as always, attraction does not equal intention. Teasing is engagement, not commitment. She may enjoy the connection while fully intending to maintain her current relationship. The grounded response is participation without projection, because projecting romantic meaning onto playful interaction can create pressure and disrupt the natural dynamic. At the deepest level, teasing shows that interaction with you feels alive. It carries energy, not obligation, and people gravitate toward those who make them feel animated rather than constrained. Human emotions are not always clean, logical, or aligned with circumstances. A woman can feel drawn to someone while remaining loyal to her partner. She can enjoy your presence, think about you, feel a spark of curiosity or chemistry, and still choose stability over uncertainty. Attraction and decision-making operate on different layers of the mind. That's why these signs are subtle. They reveal tension, not intention. She may give you more attention than others, yet keep distance. Seek proximity, yet avoid exclusivity. Feel warmth, then pull back. Show curiosity while guarding vulnerability. From the outside, it looks inconsistent. From the inside, it feels like balance, managing feelings without disrupting her life. Most men make one of two mistakes. Some romanticize every interaction, convincing themselves it means something more. Others dismiss real signals because the situation feels complicated. Both approaches lead to confusion. The stoic man takes a different path. He observes without attachment. He recognizes attraction without assuming ownership. He respects boundaries, hers and his own. Because true confidence is not about winning attention at any cost. It's about maintaining integrity regardless of temptation. Another important truth, attraction that cannot be expressed often fades or transforms over time. Without reinforcement, the emotional intensity softens. Sometimes it becomes a quiet memory. Sometimes it disappears entirely. Sometimes circumstances change and clarity emerges later. But forcing resolution almost always destroys the connection. Pressure converts curiosity into defensiveness. Pursuit converts tension into discomfort. Expectation converts ambiguity into stress. Calm presence allows reality to unfold naturally. And this matters not just for her, but for you. Becoming emotionally entangled in unavailable situations can drain focus, distort judgment, and delay meeting someone who is fully free to choose you. Stoicism emphasizes control over self, not over others. You cannot control who feels drawn to you or what they decide to do about it. You can control whether you remain grounded, respectful, and aligned with your values. If attraction exists, you don't need to chase it. If it doesn't, you can't manufacture it. Either way, your peace should not depend on someone else's internal conflict. The strongest position is quiet confidence, acknowledging chemistry without needing to resolve it immediately. Because sometimes the most powerful move is not pursuing, not withdrawing dramatically, but simply continuing to live your life with clarity. If paths align later, the connection will be real. If they don't, you lose nothing. The Stoic man is not defined by who is attracted to him. He is defined by how he carries himself regardless. And that kind of presence is attractive in every situation, not just complicated ones. Remember, knowledge means nothing without action. If you're ready to rise above emotion and lead with purpose, join the community today at the link below.